should be good to go.
All right, I think that we should be good here. My apologies, I had a quick little computer crash. Happens to the best of us, right? So I know exactly where I left off because we were discussing this NVTS stock here just before, and basically playing investigator, playing judge, so to say. Going through every piece of evidence that we have out there, knowing where the real levels are. So as far as this stock, we were focused around those whole number levels, those 50-cent levels and dollar whole numbers. So $4, $5, $6, right? And that's what led us to this orange line to begin at 4. An 84,000 share seller, 85. So right away it breaks over it. When you see that, that's my first piece of evidence. I instantly call that buying pressure myself. The green kicks in, that's buying volume. Yes, this is an order to sell, but once it gets broken through and the stock runs off of it, well, the buyers won the battle, right? So instantly, if I'm looking at this stock, even as an after hours move, look what became support at first. Before it ran way higher. Look at it, it broke over it, moved up at first. On a more micro, time frame, it became support on the pullback and then blasted way higher. So that instantly became a great day trade or after hours, day trade if you were focused on that. It's funny. I'll see the stand every now and then. To each their own. It's like ordering a cup of coffee in the morning. Everyone has their own flavor and taste and style, whatever. But I'll see people that try and short these small cap stocks. And just for the life of me, I don't get why. Because if the trend is screaming up, it's like basically putting yourself against traffic. You're going on the expressway, like going on the opposite side of the road, be like, oh, hey, just hit me. So there is a time and a place for it, but for news that came out and for it to break this resistance and flip it right away into support, there's no surprise this ran higher. Now though, hey, why can't support here, or I'm sorry, why can't resistance here at $4 flip into support afterwards when the market does open? So, I'll just plot this more on my Bookmap page now, just kind of showing the, 50, those whole number levels, $4, $5, and then for now 6. I know that there's actually an orange line, a sell order out there at 650 instead for about 27, 28,000. Line there, perfect. But we'll just focus on those whole number levels to begin. The more times it stabs over it, the buyers are winning the battle. So that will be set here at $6 over time, perhaps. Now, outside of what's on the heat map and outside of the dollar whole number levels, look at where we have our volume buildup. There's specifically a lot of buildup here around $5.58. We'll say $5.58. That's your point of control, right? So right away, I'll plot a line as well there, and we'll make that a little different. I'll just plot that maybe like a, what's that like? We'll do like pink or orange, something blue. Figure it out. There we go. All right, so that's also a pretty distinct level. The more times it breaks into that, we should look to get a pretty solid run. Now, right away, heading into the pre-market hours, it did drop down below it at first, so it acts as resistance. It never came back up to even test it again, so it goes to show it was relatively weak here into the open. Not as much interest there at the time. But maybe there could be. So, of course, at the open, it's still worth looking at, but right away, it just dropped. We typically wait the first 5 minutes at Cyber Trading University as far as just anything, up, down, left, right, you name it. We're going to look to wait. So within the first 5 minutes of waiting, it went up to resistance at $5, the whole number level, and then just came back down. That was it. Now, when you include the heat map here on top, well, we had new resistance show up at 5. There's something at 520, but that's not nearly as big. You have 5, 550, $6. So 50-cent levels, whole number, dollar levels there otherwise. Now today, what happened? It ended up dropping pretty quickly, fell into the next area of support. Got pretty close. Got pretty damn close, actually. This is tough for me to consider as an entry, though, for a couple of reasons. I mean, hey, if there is anyone out there that bases their education off of like everything in hindsight, saying, yeah, you should just buy right here, buy right there, see what happens. Hey, this is the definition of catching a falling knife. I want you to know that. So it's not so easy to just say, oh yeah, you could just buy right here. Now, if this ends up cutting into this order at $4, if it comes into it, breaks under it by a couple pennies and slingshots back over, That's what I'm looking for an entry. That's like strategy, because you're at least going on the upswing with momentum. So that's where either way, it starts to build a higher low. It starts to push up a little bit here. But guess what? It comes back down right away again to the same level, right at $4. And maybe here at this stage, if you're hoping to see a higher low after, maybe you can try and take a quick entry as it begins to build back up. Set your stop below this level here, of course, in case if it fails. But so far, this stock has been on a great upswing today. Basically off of $4. Now, though, the question is, off of $5, are we going to see this run now? So this will play in part with what we teach at Cyber Trading University, where normally we'll tend to wait to see resistance get tested numerous times in a smaller compression, in a smaller time span, in a smaller frequency, I guess you could say. So notice at first, from this test of resistance at $5, it was at 9:33 in the morning. The next time it came up to that level was here at 1:10 in the afternoon. To me, that's way too long in time in terms of seeing this price get tested. You want to see the buyers repetitively poke it. So from there, it ended up coming back up one more time. It held under it again, but it kept kind of pressing up against it over and over here, at least even. So that's my evidence, mounting up, looking for the next leg on this trade. This looks pretty damn good right now, actually. So the more this can poke resistance and break over it here a little bit, decent pop, nothing impressive, but it's decent enough. That's where you want to get the gears turning to say, as long as this could hold over support, why not expect a move up to the next resistance? And that being here, this is our point of control, like we had from earlier. That was from the after hours. That was right from the end of the night, right off of 558 or so. 560, 558, pretty much here. Now, when we include the heat map now, again, turn it back on, we had the resistance at 5. We have big resistance at 6, which we knew. We knew that already. But, it's funny. It doesn't even show as well because this is such a liquid order book. But you happen to have resistance at 550, 549, I guess to be exact. 550. About 214,000 shares. But don't forget about this guy here. You got a sneaky little fella right here, 131,000. And, it's about a few pennies higher. But that coincides pretty well with this point of control. Look at this. Right now, someone just added another 40,000 shares. Real time. Look at that. 127,000. Ding. 173,000. Someone just added 30 to 40,000 shares right there. 50,000. Been a long day, right? No, but just to say though, either way, that all coincides together. I have more and more evidence mounting up that if this ends up holding support here at 5, then we have a pretty good shot to try and move to the next level. Now, of course, things could always change. We might have a new seller popping up in between here. That always makes me, change my game plan a bit. But as of right now, that's where I want to stay true to my levels that we've already plotted and predetermined. We also have the opening print here too, right at 490. That's actually a huge telling point right there too. So this is also something that we put a lot of focus on in our classes, in our private training, our coaching program. This is just a big block opening print right when the market opened up this morning. It's a conglomerate of orders that get triggered pretty much right at the opening bell. So it's about 138,000 shares that are sitting there. No, sorry. I need new contacts. That is 1.3 million shares. I'm sorry, that is 1.38 million shares. Even more, telling as far as where we have our levels. So this already is pretty big. $5 is a whole number. The combination of these two acted as resistance all throughout the day. So as long as it stays above this, yeah, I would feel pretty damn good about a move eventually up here. If it fails and if it breaks below not just 5, but you could even use 490 now. If it breaks below that, then I'd say then to watch out. Then it's more likely to come back down here towards the afternoon. But let's actually watch real time. It's actually dropping down right now here, pulling back under 5. It's good that we just recognize this opening print level right at 489, I think it was at 490, 489. So now we have a little complementary level here to back up $5. Even with it shaking below 5, hey, like there's still a chance it breaks 490, but you still want to stay true to your levels. So the fact that we had 1.3 million shares there, hey, as long as this retains higher lows still and off of this price, let's look for the move up later on then. That's all. All right, so I'll tell you what, we had a couple of different things happening in between, Dan, right? A little thing beforehand, a little thing afterwards here. So let me know if there's any questions that I'd missed, let me know. But as well as that, let me get a little participation as well from all of us, actually. If you don't have questions, tell me. I want everyone here. I see Mr. B, I see Billy Bullish, I see Laura in here, Alchemy, at least in our Discord right now, as well as streaming on YouTube. You know, hey, what stocks are you most interested in right now, over the next week, the next month? You tell me. Is it NVIDIA with the AI and Saudi Arabia deals coming out left and right, and them shipping out their $30,000 Blackwell product? Is it HIMS and Hers? They came off crazy earnings, and we killed it on that trade here at Cyber Trading University. Let me know if there's any stocks that you are more interested in than anything. Let me know, because we'll have the chance to cover it live. Pull up HIMS. Go back to like NVIDIA here. See, it's already starting to try and squeeze back up a little bit, trying to crawl back up and above that 5, right? Trying to. If we didn't recognize that opening print level here to complement $5, that plays in part of you being more unsure about a move and then possibly getting out sooner than you really need to be. So that was actually great analysis, or that, it's really just great heads up, just realizing that in the moment. We'll see what happens to it in just a bit. Right now, NVIDIA here, this is building up pretty nicely. It's not really doing much across the day, but consolidating, which is enough, because the more it keeps peppering resistance, you could say likely at $134. I know it was kind of building a little underneath it, so probably use a complement between that price where you have the sell wall for about 125,000. And probably just like those highs. But if it can clear that, then I'd feel a lot better about a squeeze. I'm not a big fan of taking trades directly underneath resistance. It brings me back to a famous catchphrase that I learned a while ago, at least from a TV show. I'm sure I got a couple of us around the same age as us here, Dan, right? So if you're a fan of the show Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, growing up with Will Smith back in the day, I remember this one catchphrase. It always stuck with me, just in life. And then it hit me over the back of the head when I was trading. When you make an assumption, you make an ass out of yourself, and the ump will shun you right out the door. So you never want to buy directly underneath resistance, because you are pretty much assuming, hey, what if it's just a lower high and it crashes? I'd rather be a part of a false breakout and get out on the pullback below the level and just save myself before anything. From Mr. B, joining us probably before I crashed just earlier there, Mr. B. So he was asking, what do you think of the race up on Bitcoin? Well, I'll tell you what, that should be on Bookmap's YouTube and Discord at least. We covered that just before. Let me see if I could pull this back up at least, though, because, hey, it's so nice. I don't mind doing it twice, because it's good to know where the next set of levels are here on this trade. Bitcoin, with it breaking all-time highs, there's no historical charting to work with. And really, outside of just the icebergs that you want to look at with Bookmap, well, that's where we were discussing resistance as far as like 120,000, maybe even 115,000 there first. But those orange lines that show basically every 5,000 you could use, but then really every 10, like most recently, it broke over 110,000. We showed how there was like 610 Bitcoin out there at that point. So this is our next major resistance as far as the sell walls go, Mr. B. And then really here, adding on top, I was discussing ranges. We were talking about range play. So this is basically a midway projectile range between, like, you could see the green line is the midway here. You have your next range up top up to 127,000. So this green line is the midway point in this projected range. And it actually coincides pretty good with 120, right? It's like only 2,000 points off. So we're talking about pieces of evidence. it's tougher to gather real evidence based on a stock breaking all-time highs or here an asset breaking all-time highs, but you want to have confidence in what you're using. So for the 3.5 month range that we had here, I was kind of extrapolating like projected levels using like 50%, prices here, Fibonacci. But just to say though that this ties in pretty well with that sell wall that we have at 120,000. So it wouldn't shock me, even if it doesn't hit here, it might kind of fall into the range of 118 and 120 and then back down. All right, now I can go so much further into Bitcoin as far as like indicators and the global M2 money supply. If you're familiar with this, if you know, you know. But you know what, quite frankly, I want to keep my focal point here on Bookmap, right? So obviously we're focused around the 120,000 level at least as far as our next resistance. Dan saying the Fresh Prince was really the golden era of television. It absolutely was. We were just talking a couple things earlier, so. Yep. Now let's go back to NVTS. All right, back down here. Still hasn't truly broken support. It's on the fringe here of possibly breaking it. But I would just at least say as long as it retains higher lows, which it still has been doing, or at least double bottom it retains, then there is at least a chance for it to make one more run. If it breaks this pretty convincingly, then you just know to move on. How about GRYP from Alchemy? Yeah, absolutely. That's a smaller cap stock that is a Bitcoin related trade. So I had another stock on my Bookmap here earlier before I had to reboot. And that trade is Asset, A-S-S-T. This is starting to break support here, it looks like. So that looks like it's more likely to fail coming up now, it seems. I don't mind trusting my levels until they fail. So once you realize it's starting to fail, I don't mind then just cutting ties with it, moving on to a different trade. So the GRYP, asked here by one of our members, Alchemy. So when you're thinking about Bitcoin, right? You want to think like, all right, this stock might pop back up. It made a big move the other week. Hey, what if it pops again on the next big Bitcoin move? You never want to assume. Remember what we just said. So as far as the Bitcoin mining stocks go, I'm talking Riot, I'm talking CLSK, Mara. They will have their day in the sun. Guaranteed. We're going to day trade them. They're going to be great day trades. I'm sure they will eventually be great swing trades. But they were not for a long time while Bitcoin was running rampant. So you do want to have your money into something that you're more confident in. So if you're looking for like a Bitcoin play, I'm just saying like look at IBIT. It's just the easier correlation. Now, if you're focused on this as a day trade at least, okay, well, it was trending up just a moment ago. Trending up here a bit, so that's a good start. And it broke over a little sell wall here, so that also plays in part with a potential move higher. As long as it stays over this, or even here, I'd say like small point of control, 126, your line in the sand, this would be nicer. But otherwise, though, it's not in a bad spot. If it wants to go, there's a chance for it too. But think about how I say that, though. It's like pretty like ambiguous, I guess is the right phrase, but pretty open-ended. If it wants to go, it will, or it could. So sooner is always better than later when it comes to day trading, at least. Going back to NVTS, that's exactly where I was saying, like, all right, well, I'll trust this level now that we found it. It kind of came into it, started popping back up. All right, well, sooner than later. And chop, chop. Pretty much. That's the way that you want to focus on as a day trade. Now, if you're swing trading it, that's where I would have to kind of go to like the long-term graph. So if you want to do GRYP, this is the daily chart. I was going to say that looked pretty good just before. This does not look too good, though. Yeah, long-term, this thing has probably been reverse split to eternity. Probably a few different 50-to-1 splits or 100-to-1 splits here over time. It was dating back to like 2018. So that's where we say, once again, if you're focused on a swing trade, is it possible that you could have jumped in here and made a lot of money? Yeah, but it's also possible we could win Powerball later tonight, So that's just where you want to focus on the direction. This has been steady down. So it's just not the best swing trade. It could be a great day trade at least. Going back to CLSK, there we go. One of the mining stocks, right? I think GRYP is a mining stock, an affiliate with Eric Trump's company, Hut Mining, if I'm not mistaken. So I know about it. But same to be said here, though. This is not a great swing trading chart. It really hasn't been since like the beginning of 2024. It topped off. It's only been making lower highs. So point being is that if you're day trading it, there's no problem day trading something that has this type of graph. Every stock will have its day in the sun. Bitcoin stocks are going to, be relevant for a long time. So they're going to be great day trades. But as far as a swing trade goes, there we go. This has not been doing as good compared to IBIT. All right. Now there is another mining stock, or rather, not mining stock, but more of an asset-based company, ASST. Literally, the name is asset, but they're a Bitcoin treasury company, I believe. So this has been a fun stock to day trade. It's not as easy to have the confidence to swing trade it, though, because it's a little unproven. It's not really something I have great faith in at first. Started popping out of nowhere here back in the beginning of this month. So if it can build support pretty well from a previous support level, then that incentivizes me at least a bit just to try and take the trade. Like here, past resistance, there we go, right there. If it were to pull back that deep, it already tried to once, this would be a good swing trading opportunity as it pulls into it the first time. That's easy to say in hindsight, but again, it's all about knowing where your levels are first. Now for the day trade though, notice though yesterday, this is what happened. It started off doing great for us early in the pre-market. We had this on our pre-market watch list. It was on our morning watch list heading into the open. It's still making higher lows, still retaining support pretty well. It's over the VWAP line, so that's great. We started to have some buying pressure here at $10, some buying pressure here at 10.50 over time. So if it can re-show that type of evidence, if we continue to have buying pressure coming in at those same prices, then I'd be led to believe it's going to make a new run. Well, what happened? Well, it held resistance at 10.50. There's no break above that, so there goes that. There's no thought of trying to jump in over that level. Then, after that, it breaks below support here at $10, and not just a little nip under the level by a penny or two. This is breaking through a complete floor and crashing. So, hey, how about this? We got a few of us on Discord right now once more. You got Alchemy, Fall Forward, Laura, Mr. B, Bullish. When a stock breaks below big support and it tanks, the floor is completely broken. What would we be expecting that floor, that support, to become? What are we thinking is going to happen there? That floor becomes what? A few of us typing right now, so I want to give a chance for everyone to write back. Yeah, resistance, absolutely. So it ends up coming into it at first, but it's underwhelming. I'm expecting resistance at first here. So pop and drop. Now, though, there's a chance for this to try and pop here afterwards. The more it comes into this level, then we're expecting a thought behind the move. So it ended up making a great break over $10 later on here. Point of control, opening print, that's what kind of contributes to that. But breaks above $10. Starts off really good. It goes up above the next level right away, right? So here is a great day trading opportunity. Normally, we would expect a stock to continue this type of trend, especially if it's after the first 5 minutes of the opening bell, up until like 10:30, 10:15 Eastern time. So when it breaks over 10, not only does this designate a great entry, but it goes up enough to where you're thinking, well, let's see if this could hold now as support. It breaks over this even too. So let's see this try and even be support, and then we could have our next resistance level get tested. Well, I was just hiding something a moment ago. If you had a detailed eye, you saw I hid something. So I want to show you what happens at least here when something unexpected gets tossed into the fold. When you have like a wrench tossed into your plans here, well, you need to react quick. It ends up not holding support here at 10.50 where it could, or it should. But not only that, look what happens. A new sell order shows up at $10.74 or something. That's not good. If I'm expecting higher highs, it better rip through these sellers here pretty quick, or maybe they get pulled pretty quick. If that happens, great. But for what started off to be a great trade here, really, like you can make 50 cents a share. That's quick money on 1,000 shares, $500 profit. It's realistic. But what's also realistic is losing all of that and fold if you don't get out ahead of time. So when this seller shows up, think of it like, an anvil being placed on the trade. It's not going to be long before it ends up dropping, right? So this was a great start, but it ended up coming back down sooner than expected. And then, oh my God, what happened here? I didn't even realize this part of it. What happened here? A 64,000 share buyer showed up, I'm sorry. Hey, support building. There's a chance maybe it could bounce, but what happens when it gets broken through? This got broken through, right? Yeah, got broken through here. So big buy order ended up getting broken through, and from there, got halted even on the way down. What turned out to be a great winning trade, well, if you don't get out ahead of time, it's going to turn into a big fat loser. So this is a Bitcoin-related stock. Now, over the night, it did push up a bit with Bitcoin. It bounced a little bit. I mean, not as good as Bitcoin had popped, I'm sure. Just not as strong compared to it. But if you're looking at another day trade on this move today, well, just remember where we had resistance. $10, $10.50, $11. Unless if a new sell order shows up at $10.70 again, if that happens again, I'll give respect to that price level once more. But these 50-cent levels and whole number levels played out pretty good. It broke over 10. It went up to 10.50. You had a shake here, but it held over the VWAP, most important. And then it ended up making the better run. Built better back over 10. This is your real move because it was teasing the break over 10.50 from yesterday. So the more that it keeps pressing up against any level like this or like we had at 10, you're going to expect to see continuation. So nice pop here, at least by 10 o'clock in the morning. Let's go back to our heat map because there could always be things that come into play. 11, which we assumed would be a level. Well, check out this. This is actually pretty interesting because if you remember what happened just yesterday on this trade, where I was kind of surprised with that sudden order on the bid that showed up, 64,017 shares. It spiked right below there and crashed. What's interesting? You have a pretty short-lived order on the ask today. Not on the bid, but on the ask. It pops up like inverse to yesterday's move. This is like double the size of the one we had yesterday. Guess what happens? It pulls it. Did it pull the order? It spikes up here and it fills a chunk of volume. Let's see. Was it enough though? Nah. This is only 8,600 shares in volume that get filled at that point. So, point being, this actually didn't get filled. This got pulled. So a little different than yesterday's move. But it's the same reaction, right? It's the same reaction that matters. This ended up launching after this got pulled, after the stock broke through that price. It sure as hell continued. So it ended up spiking up as high as like 1270-ish, 1265-ish there. Now heading into the afternoon, look what happened here. It's coming back up. We had resistance like we typically should see at these whole number levels. $11, $12. Well, $12. It had a tough time breaking over, right? So a couple of bad rejections at first, especially this year. Should look to hold it as support, and it doesn't. Well, if it keeps fighting at this level, it's showing you that it wants to try and go higher. Because, listen, if it wanted to just tank, it would have earlier. It would have made lower lows. It could have done it here. It could have done it here. It could have done it before. So the fact that we keep seeing this thing nip and test this $12 resistance, the buyers look like they want to win this battle. So what I like to see once more, we talked about it at least on NVTS. Ooh, let's see what happens. We might be beginning to get our run up on this too. The more times it is testing that level in a smaller compression, in a smaller frame of time, that's where you're expecting the real move. So here is not really your best opportunity because it was about an hour and a half from the last time it was approached by that level. From here, even over time to where it tested this iceberg that appeared here, at $12. pop and drop. But notice that these rectangles are getting smaller each time it's testing the resistance. That is exactly what I'm just trying to circle in on for continuation. Are there times where I'm too patient and the stock pops without me? Yep, I'm a human, much like you are. I hope everyone here is a human. No, just to say, though, that we're human beings. We're prone to carry emotion into a trade where maybe we wait too long because we're not as certain. And the stock does make that pop that we were thinking it might make. There are times where I'm there, right place, wrong time. Even if I'm using this concept, using this kind of time-based strategy, well, there are times where I'm there, just right place, wrong time, and I have to realize when to get out, when to fold the deck. To be like, more likely it's going to go the other way. And if it decides to come back up, then it's one of those like, fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on you, fool me 3 times probably, again, one more time. No, but seriously, I'm not going to keep taking the same trade 4 times over, 5. But I'll take it twice, though. If I have my level set, and I know where the big sell orders are, it's not like I'm seeing things. It's not like I'm going crazy, So I could just be there, right place, wrong time at first. And then maybe in about 15 minutes, 30 minutes after, there could be another opportunity. And oftentimes, that next trade is the best one to take. It's the one that ends up making the run. So lastly here, I'm going to finish up in just a couple minutes, Alchemy, because, I believe that, Bookmap just, they have a detailed schedule throughout today. So I want to make sure that they're on track. I don't want to keep yapping, but, hey, I want to keep yapping. I just don't want to waste anyone's time, at least with Dan and Bruce and all of the fine folks over at Bookmap. But yeah, let's go over MLGO before we finish. This thing was a pain to me earlier. It really was, because you're expecting a faster reaction. This stock in particular, we did so well on back last year. So just to show briefly, it doesn't look like a great swing trade, but a couple of great pops back from earlier this year, here before they did a reverse stock split, pop. So a couple of great day trades on the stock. And for that reason, we know that it could move a lot faster than it was moving earlier today. Like even here in pre-market, it was trending very nicely, had a nasty shake. So it's fast moving there. Now, when the market opened up, I was focused around $1.80. I was using that basically as like a bit of a, let's see. Kind of right over here, basing it off the volume that came in earlier off of 180, a couple of larger volume dots that kicked in. So I'm just thinking the more it keeps testing that price, there's a chance for a breakout and a run. This isn't even a breakout. It just grinded on up. So the time that you spend watching this do nothing and then pop or like grind up, there's just easier opportunity to take elsewhere. Imagine wasting your time on that as this pops. So that's like my biggest pain, because this actually ran well. It moved up nicely, but you had to be watching it all morning to get the job done. You don't want to just ignore a trade. If you have your stop set, that's one thing, but I'm calling out different stocks in our live trading room. I have a bunch of students we work with, not only as a collective, but privately that I coach. So I'm looking for a pretty quick reaction here, and it just took its sweet, sweet time. Ugh. So I do regret getting out a lot earlier than I did. But now, though, hey, maybe for this afternoon, for as much complaining as I'm doing here, maybe the best move is ahead here because it's above resistance at 2 now. And as long as it's above resistance, perhaps there's a chance for it to run better. 250, $3, and maybe this order on the bid will ladder up too. Maybe we'll see this get pulled, move higher, and that will really squeeze this up a lot higher from there. All right, but let me just do one quick thing because I ended up kind of having a small little computer crash earlier just as I was midway through my presentation. So give me a quick moment. I just want to finish up with this because Bitcoin is pushing up pretty well. The NVTS is actually making the better move now. The ASST is still trying to squeeze up and over $12. So this is what I want to say. We do this live inside our live trading room each and every day, each and every week. So we invite all of our members joining us on Discord right now. If you are interested in joining us inside our live trading room, give me a brief moment here. There we go. We invite you to join us for a week-long trial for about $9. You could scan that QR code down at the bottom to just take you to a quick link to sign up. But it's just 1 week to get a small feel for what we do. We primarily day trade, but we call out swing trades each and every day as well. It's led by 35-plus year pro Fausto Pugliese. He's actually presenting right now in our big multi-speaker conference today, and from yesterday we had just finished up as well. We'd love to have Bruce, himself come on as well soon enough there, Dan. We'd love to just talk to you on the side about that. But, hey, we have not just myself, but we have Fausto, 35-plus year pro. We also have IT support, my colleague Rich, who's been with us for nearly a decade as well. So we have a whole staff, whole team here to support you. We have a live trading chat room that we're here from 7:30 in the morning up until 4 p.m. each and every day. And then even if you're on the road, if you're in travel, if you're just doing it remotely, you could actually sign up to our Telegram, and via our alert system within the trading room, you could actually be up to date with all of our posts, all of our watch lists here. We'll even post some pictures of Bookmap. See that there? No, but seriously though, we are here all day, every day. We have live podcasts with great presenters throughout the industry, some of which are on this very channel as well with Bookmap. So, hey, if you're interested in joining us, just scan that QR code. If you're not as high tech with the QR codes with your phone, with your camera, go right down to this link, just scrolling down below, ctu.co/trial. Otherwise, again, you could scan this QR code with your phone, with your camera to join us. But I didn't want to hold this up too long. Dan and Bruce and all of us over at Bookmap, once more, I appreciate just the the platform, the opportunity to present here today, and looking forward to the next one.
Massive thanks for the stream, Josh. It's always great to hear you talk, and it's always great to hear Cyber Trading University's outlook on the markets. And yeah, happy to chat to you afterwards if you just want to give me a call. So thanks very much.
And lastly, real quick, because I don't have the slide up here, I definitely want to have you share screen, if anything, because I know that we want to get everyone verified on your Discord, correct?
That is correct. Let me quickly just email that slide over to you.
Because I just made sure I did this just earlier today as well, because I know from the beginning of the year that you guys were looking to do this, and certainly now that everything is fully developed, definitely got to make sure that you get your Discord verified for all of us just joining us here. It's the best way to stay in touch with Bruce, Dan, all of the Blue Jacket instructors over at Bookmap.
I'll also leave a comment in the YouTube stream for anyone that's watching over there if they'd like to join us, and you can just click straight through that as well.
Do you have the LinkedIn just for the verification? There we go. Got it right there. Perfect. No, I definitely want to show this just before we finish up. So let's see. Got it right here. Bam. Perfect. There we go. So definitely make sure you scan this QR code, most important. If you're not ready to join our trading room just yet, no sweat. Just scan this QR code, especially if you're on Bookmap's Discord to get verified. Just use your email registration as well.
Thanks so much, Josh. Hope you have a great rest of your day. Chat to you soon.
Appreciate that, Dan. Thank you.